Hi, can you see
Hey,
me?
yeah,
Man,
you're in there.
the internet, boy, I tell you. Um,
2021.
I know, right? Well, thanks so much for joining me tonight. Thank you, first off, for sending me this book. It's amazing. I've already been reading it to my son, and after the
Oh,
chat, I'm gonna let him do the activities. But I wanted to get through the chat first with you
yeah.
before letting him tear into it.
Okay, great. Let
Yeah.
him tear it up though. Let him destroy it. That's like art. That's art 101.
Yeah, for sure. I know I was an artiste back in my day, and I've been trying to make more space for me to be creative now. But yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you so much for joining the Black Boy Book Club tonight. We'll definitely want to save the live after, we finish chatting because I definitely want to share it on our page for some of our East Coast viewers and family that might not be up this late. But I wanted to kind of start off by, just asking you to introduce yourself and tell us a little more about you as an author and as an artist.
Yeah, great. Well, we know each other from Howard. We know each other from Howard University. I'm originally grew up in Sacramento and Stockton, California. And, art has always been a passion of mine. I think that my mom, first and foremost, she was probably my biggest influencer because she was also my fifth and sixth grade elementary school teacher. And
Oh,
we went to
wow.
church a lot, and always in church giving me pen and paper, And so that just kind of developed this um, kind of ritualistic habit of always drawing and creating and just being in that lane. So I credit a lot of that with kind of my early art influences, and then it just never stopped. Like I always just loved art from cartoons to graffiti, just a natural passion. And then even in school, um, I went to school for business, and so I studied marketing, but all the time, nothing but drawings on my notes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Oh, so you were in the suit at freshman year. You were in those suits, those business suits you had to wear at Howard.
yeah. I had, oh man, please don't find no pictures, but it was, yeah, it was a completely, just a completely different mentality. And I think that what was interesting was that I never let go of art, and
Mm-hmm.
School of B was kind of hard to have a minor and venture out because they just want you business. But at the same time, you know how Howard is. You get in, you can become anybody you want, And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
um, like me and B Will, we got together, and I got into graphic design, and I think we did we made a Malcolm X T-shirt with the
Oh, with the
teal and
gun.
purple.
I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like basically
Um,
the picture where he's like standing
leaning
on
out
the
the
side of the
window.
doorway. Yeah, I remember that shirt.
Yep. Me and my boy Reg, we made a T-shirt that said "Stop Cooning" on it, just to show you just
Mm.
like the range of that entrepreneurial spirit, that creative spirit, and that even carried over when I moved to New York after school. I got a job at Macy's as an assistant buyer,
I
and
remember that. Okay, yeah.
yeah, and I was terrible at it. I was completely, I was just like, whoa, this is not me. This is not my reality. And then so I just kind of had like a come to Jesus moment, like really shed a few thug tears. It was just like, what do I need to be doing? And this was 2008, 2009. I get laid off, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna be an artist. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm in New
Mm-hmm.
York. I'm crazy inspired, um, and I'm just gonna go for it. And so, that just put me into for the next 4 years. I lived in New York as a starving artist. The highs and lows, the adventure, the sexy side of it, the struggle side of it. My first art show was at a wing spot in Harlem. All of the Howard homies came out and
I'm sure we
and
run
showed
Harlem.
support. Showed support. You know, and then like after and I say one of the highlights of being there was making the hip hop coloring book, you know, and
Mhm.
that was my like first it was a major milestone for me, seeing that I could
Mhm.
blend this education background that I was
Mhm.
raised in, you know, like almost the family business in a serious way,
Mhm.
to combining it with this marketing background and you
Yeah.
know, and just having a success with
Do
it.
you happen to have a copy around you of the hip hop coloring book? Because I
Yeah,
definitely wanted to touch on that and just
yeah.
show.
Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Okay.
Oh, boom. Yeah. So
Boom.
this is the hip hop coloring book, and I came
We'll
out with
feature that
this.
on the page too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, it's the same science. It took my passion for hip hop, of course. Imagine living in New York, the birthplace of hip hop, seeing
Mhm.
these streets, seeing, you know, even seeing these famous icons that we love. And
Mhm.
so, this was kind of just my
Yeah,
first
I have the
attempt.
hip hop coloring book. I bought it when you sold it. I need
Yeah,
to find it. I lived in a different house when because this is but I've lived in this house for 6 years and this was more than 6 years ago when you made this. But I
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
bought it and had it on my coffee table for so long and just would collect cool points for having it. So
yeah. Right on, right on. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a shame that it took me so long to come out with another book because I've been able to do so many other things. But um, you know, I came after New York. Um, you know, I came home back to Stockton, was on the parents' couch for like a cool 6 months, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. Made it out to the Bay. Went right back into teaching art in the after school program, which, you know, I give a lot of credit to being able to facilitate my development as an artist, working in communities, doing murals. Um, and I want to say I've been out here since 2014, and in that span, I've also, you know, I've traveled internationally, painted, lived, um, worked in the startup world, marketing, design, art education, and even came out with a few other coloring books as well. I partnered with UC Berkeley to do like a K through 12 college prep coloring book.
mm,
Worked with Parks and Recs out here to do like an educational coloring book on literature, or on how to be out in nature and what we can see in our environment. And so I think really it's just been a blessing to realize that I moved to West Oakland, where the Black Panther Party was founded.
mm,
Um, Many of these members are alive and well. Their legacy is alive and well out here. And when this opportunity came up, it was just something that like it was just a blessing. You know, it was nothing
mhm,
that I expected, and
mhm.
but I'm glad that it was able to happen. And so I'll just give you a little bit about the background about how this book came about. So
Okay, yeah, we love to. And just to reset, sorry, we're
yeah,
talking about Women of the Black Panther Party. We're here with James Shields. He's Creative Shields on Instagram, so we'll definitely be tagging him. But he's going into the inspiration behind the book.
yeah. And so the inspiration behind the book was that Jill Christina Vest, who's a neighbor of mine in West Oakland, um, was motivated and moved over the summer by, of course, the protests that were taking place, and really wanted to speak out and contribute to the community. And she wanted a Say Her Name mural on her house. So it's
Mm,
like, of course, I'm down. You know what I mean? I would love that opportunity. And that quickly evolved into, you know what, we're going to do a tribute to the women of the Black Panther Party.
mhm,
And, you know, I'm not, and just, you know, just to be frank, you know, like I was not well read or educated on the legacy of the Panthers outside of what I may have came across. You know,
mhm,
from style points and the media, a documentary here and there, but being able to talk to Erica Huggins, Asali Gail Dixon, you know, like these legendary women Panthers really made me want to do the due diligence of coming correct,
Mm-hmm.
not only for the mural, but for this coloring book. And what I quickly realized was that this is so massive of an undertaking that I had to step aside and really focus on the coloring book itself. And
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and that's just been a great opportunity for me from reading books that play. Let me find some of these books actually. Um, ooh, you know, like so this The Revolution Has Come by Robin C. Spencer, you know, talks about just the trajectory of women and how they affected we'll say the party, but then you also say the world, right? And so just
Mm-hmm.
get all I'm looking for is motivation and inspiration. Remaking the Black Power Party, some Black Women, the Black Power Panther Party by Ashley D. Farmer, and you know you can look them up on YouTube. They're giving speeches. You can look at their books. Um, you know, A Taste of Power, but Elaine Brown, the chairwoman of the Black Panther Party, the only woman chairwoman leader of the Black Panther Party, lives right here in Oakland. You know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
um, it was dope to go down the historical lane and then also think about how we frame history from a
Mm-hmm.
male dominant, white dominant lens
Mm-hmm.
and what we honor through that, which is a lot of times is violence, power, you know, like just this direct
Mm-hmm.
force. And then you look at women leaders when they get into power, and you can see the shifts that take place. And
Mm-hmm.
the number one the number one like um, inspiration or takeaway was service. Plain and
Mm-hmm.
simple. How are you
Yeah, because
serving?
even the Panthers, they created the WIC program that so many people still benefit to from today, right?
Man, listen. All all programs. Let's talk. Have you ever got free food at school? The Black
Mm-hmm.
Panthers started that. The Black Panthers were serving breakfast, lunch, and other meals,
Mm-hmm.
and we're doing it better than the government. So where the government said, no, we have
Mm-hmm.
to do this because they're making us look bad.
Mm-hmm.
Free bus programs to prisons to keep families together, right? Rodent inspection, you know what I mean? Coming through to the neighborhood and just
Mm-hmm.
taking care of us, you know, and more importantly, police protection from the police harassment, you know, and all of these things um, they were all called survival programs
Mm-hmm.
just because they were trying to survive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even the irony, but every program can be applied today, like immediately applied today. Um, and just another backstory is that I work as um, a designer slash organizer for a labor union, right? Which is all about worker power, community power. And so this
Mm-hmm.
just goes hand in hand to I'm at work and I'm asking myself, we just need to do this. They
Yeah.
already did it. We just need to do
Mm-hmm.
that. And so that's what really kept me engaged through the ups and downs of developing this project.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful and amazing. I think, there is something to be said about giving a way for kids and for people of all ages really to understand the history through an interactive way. And as we know, the school system isn't the school system right now as it stands, especially with the distance learning, people are barely getting by educationally. So I think it's really up to parents and guardians and family members to be able to teach their kids, especially when it comes to Black history,
Mm-hmm.
our stories from our own words, and so I think that's why, I'm really passionate about this. When I was in high school, I went to a really conservative, right wing, mostly white, uh, high school outside of Atlanta, in the outskirts of Atlanta. And I mean, kids were coming to school with like Confederate flags on their
Guys,
cars. And I know, they felt like it was their heritage, but of course, we know how problematic that is. And so I remember in the 10th grade, I wrote this compare and contrast paper. That was really the assignment, just to write a compare and contrast paper. And so I took it upon my little Black self to write a paper about why you cannot compare the Ku Klux Klan to the Black Panther Party, because I think there was some misguided child in one of my classes that did. And so I took it upon myself to write this whole paper about why you couldn't compare them and why they were, contrasted organizations. The Black Panther Party is a political party, a social organization, whereas, the Ku Klux Klan was a hate group. They were not the same. So, so when you sent me this, it just took me back to my 10th grade self. And so I'd love for you to just kind of walk us through the book and show some of the pages and, anything that might have come up as you were creating it.
yeah, man. I think, and then, also, and I'm definitely going to do that, but shit, what happened last week? You know what I mean? Like the Panthers were at the Capitol in Sacramento, like my hometown, and then you see what happened when these fools were at the Capitol last week, completely different. Yeah, so the first thing that I want to highlight is this intro, right? And this intro is so amazing because we have Erica Huggins right here, and then we have an independent historian, Angela LeBlanc Ernest, and they were critical in not only being the guiding voices and the legacy, but they've been putting in the work, right? They've been putting in work. Erica Huggins was the principal or the director of the Oakland Freedom School, which was the free educational school that did the breakfast program and whatnot in Oakland, and so it's important for me, and I think just to have that blessing, to go forth and create and feel safe to touch such a sacred experience for these people that lived it. You know what I mean? That I got their blessing, and then also just the team that was part of this. This is not a one-man show by any means. Jill Christina, the producer, was instrumental in making sure this came out when it did. My homegirl Krista was the designer on this program, and I'm talking about we burned some crazy hours. So I just want to honor them and give them a big up before getting into the good stuff. And then also, and then also too, which was dope, was that there's so many resources. You know what I mean? Like the Oakland Museum, the Huey P. Newton Foundation, just archives and stuff that are made available that I was constantly finding. Stephen Shames is this photographer that has a lot of the historical photos that were referenced in this book too. And so that was part of the discovery phase as I'm building out this book, which was really dope. And to start walking through the book, I wanted to find the science and the connection that you can follow to get a complete understanding of the Panthers and the women. So as much as possible, we try to include an historical fact on every page possible, a reference on every page possible. You know what I mean? And then also I wanted to marry the activities between classic coloring book activities and creative exercises that will allow you to not only be an artist, but to also think about, what it means. Like, what would you do in today's time if you were in their position? So that's why there's activities like you're registering people to vote. What will you do? You know what I mean? Like you're you're at an action. What will you do? Stuff like that. And then also the key takeaway is that there's nothing being done in this movement without the cooperation of men and women, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that this book does not take away from the the contributions of men, and it doesn't need to uplift women. And I think
Absolutely.
that's something that I really took away from this, right? Was like, what is it? What does it mean to just elevate one another, and be in that space? And so, man, just tons of dope loaded info. This is over 30 pages of content, so this is not a light book by any means. And even on page one was that the the first page, the logo
Mm-hmm.
that came about one by women artists in SNCC that created the logo,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe it was Stokely Carmichael that said, "Hey, this is what they're doing in Alabama. Let's go to Clark, Atlanta, find a artist, make this
Mm-hmm.
Panther, and then years later, Huey P. Um, and Bobby Seale see the Panther and say, okay, that's where we're getting this logo. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not, nothing was black and white.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody isolated that has this grand idea. It was always pulling and motivating. And I think like, starting off the book with an activity about the logo,
Mm-hmm.
and the design of it just really sets it off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully somebody out there that'll be working on these pages will get a new idea and revamp it,
Mm-hmm.
remix it, and bring it down to them. And so we have, we have historical pages like that. We broke it down from to have geography exercises, you know what I mean, to writing exercises, critical thinking,
Mm-hmm.
um, which just shows the depth of what this book is about, and then also what I liked, really, kind of like one of my favorite pages, is showing my creativity and thinking about how weird and how spacey and how many lines can we break? You know what I mean? And just
Mm-hmm.
like I think that was really shown with this page right here,
Mm-hmm.
which is just celebrating blackness and beauty, and saying like, wow, that's a quirky idea. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's an original. And so, it's going through stuff like that, finding opportunities. And some of my ideas were shot down because nothing about the Panthers was G rated. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so you can take it there if you really want to, but also understanding like how this can best be consumed by audiences of all ages is really, I give credit to the team for making that happen. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was the timeline that it took from the conception to the end product? Like, how long of a process was this?
Um, Timeline wise, this has really been inception. I would say around June. Completion of this first version, because I've already seen things that I want to tighten
Mm-hmm.
up, might change out. Finish right at the beginning of this year, say December. So from June, a lot of conceptualizing, a lot of mural work, nightization, till till October till December was production,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a crazy time. So
Mm-hmm.
to be able to knock all these pages out, revise them, um, you know, that was about a 2 month process, which I would not advise, but it did get done. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I guess, one thing, with the Black Boy Book Club, the whole purpose of this is to show Black children, but most of all, Black boys themselves. And that's not just within the pages, because clearly this is mostly about the women of the Black Panther Party, but also showcasing authors like yourself and artists like yourself to these young boys to show them that they can be whatever they want to be, whether that's in the book or whether that's on the IG Live. And so I guess, what would you say to our audience members and our book club family about that?
Yeah, I would say champion them ASAP. with whatever they want to do slash they don't know they can do, right? If your boy wants to be an author, help him write a story, help him draw it, go to Kinko's at minimum, print a book, have him sell it,
Mhm.
right? Blow his head up. Blow
Mhm.
your little boys, your kids, your black children, all these kids that are not represented, that don't see themselves, blow their heads up with confidence and with exposure, pseudo exposure. Me not having kids, but just getting goosebumps from when you see something online about they're talking to the kids in the mirror about why they love themselves. They're
Mhm.
showing them being investors with candy, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think my biggest thing, I don't know where I got this from. I told myself that I should be good at one thing. I'm gonna be a basketball player.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like what?
Mhm.
And so this just represents, and really, this represents just making something up.
Mhm.
Because, and I kid you not, there was no hip hop coloring book before this came out.
I know, and now it's funny because people have been inspired by that. I'm sure they've been
For
inspired by
sure.
that exact
For
book,
sure, for
and
sure.
there's all these, you know.
All these different coloring books, and I what I really appreciate about all those different coloring books is that they're entertainment based. You know what I mean? Like they're not really speaking to the culture. They're
Mhm.
not real. You know what I mean? They're gonna say, "Hey, draw Snoop with a chronic leaf because that's what it
Mhm.
is." But like not seeing them for these cultural icons of what they mean to us. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so um, that's what gives like everlasting value to this, and pretty much any kind of project that I do, um,
Mhm.
is that I know the value and like kind of the sacredness that I'm creating this for. And so with like with the little homies in the book club, like imagine that they can have their own superheroes, their women superheroes, and them not be women superheroes,
Mhm.
but superheroes that happen to be women. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then you can say, like when I was doing this coloring book, I'm thinking about my mom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
I'm
was just
thinking
about to
about
say they can probably, relate to that because it's a lot of moms that fuel this community and this page, you know.
yeah,
So.
for sure, for sure, for sure. And then also too is that everything that they were doing was revolutionary, yet all they were doing was caring for their community.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it's like the most simple thing. Yeah.
exactly. And so and I like that. I like holding the power of that narrative because if you Google Black Panther, you're gonna see a gun. You know what I mean? Once again, you're gonna see that
Mhm.
patriarchal white male narrative pop up on
Mhm.
Google first. And so this is just more opportunities for us to have those conversations, to own our own narrative.
Absolutely. So, what can we do to support you, to support your work, to support this book? What do
Yeah,
you need from us? What can we do for you?
man. Well, practically the mural program is still raising funds and being completed. Women of the Black Panther Party, WBPmural.com. Um, they're also on IG and on my links as well, so you can find them. They're still raising funds. You can buy, just if you want to buy the book, buy the book. Like of course dollars make sense. So and I'm doing better with being a salesperson and being okay with asking for money and asking for sales. But yeah, buy the book. But more importantly, and this is for real. Um, I want to get this book out to as many organizations, educational institutes, independent educators, and what I mean by that is I want people to buy the book and donate the book.
Mhm.
I want to talk to educators about the requirements of what it's going to take. What can I do to put this in your school? Because
Mhm.
there comes the ins and outs, and all of those are hurdles that I know that I can overcome with help and with assistance. So, I mean, I just really want to get it out, and then once it gets out, see that spark the same way that the hip hop coloring book sparked
Mhm.
a lot of more hip hop books. I want to see,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like I want to see how many historical books we can come out with, how many narratives we can tell,
Right.
and in real talk, there's a lot. You know, there's a lot that people are doing, which is dope. So like, there's no losing with telling our stories.
Mhm. Absolutely. No, I totally agree. So I'll connect with you after this and make sure that we have all the links and we'll put it in our bio, in our link tree so you can access the fundraising, you can access where to get the book, you can access how to reach James Shields, and we'll make sure that we support. This is a very supportive community. So I know once we repost this on our page, it's going to go like crazy.
Man, that's yo, and the thank you first and foremost, guys. I just like I said it when I sent you the book, but I knew I made something dope, and I was just like, okay, one, who are the people that like I've just been following and seeing work? You know what I mean? Like, and not on anything like look at me, but just people that I enjoy watching because Instagram has, you know what I mean, facilitated so much of our attention. And then like for you, not only like I said, to just do the book club, but just to have that proactiveness, like this is a benefit for everybody. So I appreciate you for that. Oh, I think you froze up. Hey, Nia, still here? Well, all right, I'm going to click out and see if I can click you back in. And that was tight. Let me see if I can get her back in. Send request. Nia Smith. Well, once again, this is the book. Um, you
Okay.
back? Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. You might be. I don't know. I don't know what's happening in LA, but in NorCal, we're good with the internet.
All right. I think we're back.
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard me. I was just saying thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and it's crazy helpful. I can't even put into words.
No problem. I mean, I was glad to have you. I'm definitely glad that you sent me this book and even thought of me. And we'll definitely promote it on the page. And I'm just honored that you even thought of me. Um, it's you sometimes you're just like head in and doing the work. And all of this is like a labor of love, and I'm sure for you too. But I just know that like our kids need something to see and something to believe in, and especially with the calamity in the world, um, it's
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Is that it? I think. Did we do it? Oh man, this is that awkward internet stage. All right. The internet's bugging. Yeah, yeah. save the video and send it to you. Okay. Yeah, we'll do. All right. I guess that's a wrap.